Hey, what's up, Shining Otaku? Today, I'm here to bring you guys a different kind of video. It's actually going to be talking about Frank Miller. This is more of a discussional video. This is not going to be one where we're treating it like it's a documentary. It's super well researched. I just wanted to kind of have a little bit of a discussion with you guys. So I'm not sure how familiar some of you are, but if you keep up with anything in American comics, then you know who Frank Miller is. He's a legend. He's been around for many, many, many decades before probably, if you're around my age, I'm 31, before probably some of you, were even born. And he made The Dark Knight Returns. He did Sin City. He did 300, a lot of those kind of comics, that had more of like that noir type feeling to it. And he's done, a lot more than just that. And he's had different influences. But, since last year and recent years, some of the work that he's been putting out has really sparked a little bit of discussion in terms of his quality of his work. So, for example, you see some of the pieces I have on the screen. This was an original piece that he did back in the day. And then you look at something he did like this or this, and it's clearly different than the Frank Miller we see right here in this image, night and day. So what really comes into question when you have legends in the industry like Frank Miller, who used to put out work like this, and now they're putting out work like this, what does that say about the industry? Should companies like Marvel, DC, should they continue to put out creators like Miller just because of their name and maybe what they've done in the industry, or should that be something that is pretty much told, you're almost like in a sport, almost like you're telling someone you need to retire, you've put in your time, you did your time. If you look at any sport, for example, like professional sport, if someone's in basketball or they're in boxing, at a certain point, if they're not really doing so hot, they can keep going, but they're probably not going to really be able to sell like they used to sell. Or in basketball, I'm not that familiar with it, but I'm going to assume they probably would drop them. They're probably not going to be able to continue. But in certain sports, it's a little bit different. So should comics be treated the same way? A lot of people will say that comics is a young man's sport, almost in a way in the industry. So should Miller, should work like his or legends like his, should companies like DC or Marvel continue to give him covers, give him projects? Um, in my take, I feel a little bit different about it. I feel like if you've been putting in your time and you considering the history of comics, when we look at comics as a whole and looking at how comics has been like a work for hire type of industry. No one had like retirement plans, when it came to like DC and Marvel. Like your retirement plan pretty much was if you decided to do your own IP and that IP took off and you still had ownership over that IP. By IP, I mean intellectual property. Um, so in the cases like, let's say like a Frank Miller, obviously he's made it. He has money, in the bank because he's done Hollywood stuff. So I would be surprised. And I mean, again, this isn't like a documentary piece. There's videos much more better for that. So there might be a lot I'm saying in this video that may be a little bit misinformed. So, you can feel free to highlight me in the comments on this. But, to my knowledge, he probably isn't hurting too much in comparison probably to um, other maybe some comic book professionals that don't have those Hollywood connections, that haven't been able to do movies or such to be able to pad their bank account a little bit, that maybe purely just been involved in it. So if you are someone who has just purely done comics, you're a legend in the industry, you've paved the way, have you kind of earned that right to still be able to put out work, even if maybe a lot of people have considered it to be substandard, even though you may have guys that are far, far, far better, than maybe what you are at that point. I feel so conflicted about it because with comics being a like like at least when it comes to American comics and we're talking about Marvel and DC having the whole work for hire thing they had, that even had brought about like Image at one point, because they didn't have any ownership over these characters, like none. It makes me feel like, I don't want to say they owe it to them, because you never owe anything really to anybody when it comes to something like that. But I think it's one of those things to where they don't owe it, but I think it's respectful to give him jobs, to give him, um, opportunities like this. And let me just say this, in case Frank Miller is watching this video, I don't mean it as any sign of disrespect or whatever. I definitely respect your work. I respect what you've put into the industry. So I definitely don't mean it in this particular way. I'm simply using this more as a conversational piece, since at this point it's been sort of like a controversial thing that I've seen people talking about, and I know some people have kind of laughed about it or whatever. I don't think this is really a laughing matter, because for all I know, and for a lot of like Frank Miller could be experiencing, and I pray this isn't the case, but he could be experiencing health issues of some sort that could be the reason why this is occurring. And I feel like a lot of times people have a tendency, even in other forms of art, like you think about with Chadwick Boseman when he was losing weight, and people were kind of making fun of him, and then found out after he passed that he had cancer. So I think we all have to be very careful about, even if you don't like someone's body of work or their art or what they're doing, whatever, just to be very mindful that you don't know what could be going on in someone's life. So this is not to disrespect Frank Miller or any professional that's out there, but this is simply just to talk about if the community, of artists and writers, professionals, fans, etc., feel like there is a drop in quality in the artists or writers' work, drastically, where it feels to them almost amateurish. Should that be something that we continue to accept and people go out and buy it, just to kind of support, almost like as a respecting piece, like, hey, you did so much, you paved the way, we still want to be able to support you, because these companies, it's not like they had a retirement plan in mind. Again, Miller is probably a different case because of the whole Hollywood thing, but still using, that as a whole thing, like, hey, should there be something there for them, that people should still continue to do that. Like I said, my take of it, I think that, it's really up to the person, but I think it's like you should still throw jobs at the person. Would I give them all of the top of the line jobs if they weren't, able to meet the standard that everyone else was able to meet? No, I probably wouldn't do that. But out of respect, I would still try to keep them in the fold. And I might try to persuade them to possibly fill some type of other role within what we do. Maybe it would be something like helping them, them helping edit other creatives. Now, I'm not sure if that would be an option, but I would try to keep them in the fold in some shape, way, or form, or take some kind of other position. Like you think about in other sports, like in boxing, for example, sometimes if someone's retiring from boxing, they might become a coach. They might start coaching instead, to be able to help someone else reach to a certain point. So I kind of, in my view, think that it should be treated a little bit like that. But if you are going to continue to give someone jobs, I wouldn't give them probably the top of the line job. You think about, like, for example, the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight. I'm like, we can all have our opinions about that whole fight, but I probably wouldn't give Mike Tyson, if he still wanted to do a bunch of fights after that, I wouldn't be giving him a bunch of top of the line fights. It would be something like, I'll throw you a bone as a respect piece every now and then, but I wouldn't want to overdo that. if that makes a lot of sense. That's just my initial thoughts, my take. But what do you guys out there think? This is just something a little bit different I wanted to do on the channel. This is simply off the cuff, just my first thoughts on the matter. But put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. We'll be replying to it. But with that being said, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out some of the other videos. We got a new project coming with Origami Super Punch soon. So we will see you guys later, and Happy New Year. I forgot to say that as well. See you guys later.